All right. I sent out an itinerary for this month. So we always end the month with group choice. This week, we're going to focus on some deep mindset type stuff. So I was just talking with an agent on our office hours, which if you're not on office hours, I recommend joining. We always have really interesting, great conversations on there. We were just talking with an agent who is kind of feeling like they're working a lot and kind of not burning out, but like feels like they're kind of spinning their wheels. And I think a lot of us over time will definitely feel that. And I know in talks with a lot of you one-on-one, like sometimes we get to that point. And so what we were talking about is how to best combat that. And so this topic of the 80-20 rule, has anybody ever heard of the 80-20 principle? I hope I'm cool if y'all haven't, because this is a great topic and you're going to learn something. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and I'm going to play a video for y'all. Can you see it says Best Life Daily? All right. We're going to watch the 3.5-minute video. And then we're going to do an exercise. It's going to be weird, but it's going to be super fruitful. Okay. So don't get weirded out yet. Just follow along.
If you're new here, we post new content weekly on how to help you live your best life. In today's episode, we are going to cover the 80-20 rule explained, Pareto Principle. Have you been interested in becoming more productive or have the ability to manage your time more effectively? If so, you've most likely come across the Pareto Principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is one of the most useful concepts for life and time management. If you want to take your productivity to new heights, you should understand this powerful concept and use it daily. Let me break it down for you and share one practical tip for you to apply today. What is the 80-20 rule? Also known as the Pareto Principle, this rule suggests that 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. The Pareto Principle was named after Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. Originally, the rule referred to the observation that 80% of Italy's wealth belonged to only 20% of the population. More generally, the Pareto Principle is the observation that most things in life are not distributed evenly. And we can even see this concept at work in our daily lives. You wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. In a book, 20% of the book contains 80% of the most important information. In a company, 20% of the customers produce 80% of the revenue. Knowing this simple but profound concept alone will dramatically change the way you tackle daily tasks. Now that you know what the rule is, let's talk about how to apply it in your life. How to apply the 80-20 rule in your life. In order to effectively apply the 80-20 rule in your life, here's what you need to do. First, write down your top 10 goals. Then ask yourself, if you could only accomplish one goal on that list today, which one would have the most positive impact on your life? Next, pick the second most important goal. After doing this simple exercise, you now know which 20% of your tasks you need to focus on in order to bring the most positive impact on your life. You should continue to work at those goals that you've chosen and see them as the highest priority tasks. Now, here's one simple trick to better work on your tasks. Eat the biggest frog first. This simply means doing the hardest task first. Often, the most valuable task you can do each day is the hardest, but the payoff for completing it can be enormous. You often see people who appear to be busy all day long, but seem to accomplish very little. This is almost always because they are busy working on tasks that are low value, while they are procrastinating on the one or two activities that could make a real difference. Don't be busy being busy. The Pareto Principle may or may not make sense for you. The point is to realize that you have the option to focus on the important 20%. When you are seeking top quality, you need all 100%. When you are trying to achieve more by doing less, focusing on the critical 20% can be a time saver. See what activities generate the most results for you and give them your best effort. Comment below one thing that you will apply to your own life from today's video. Thanks for tuning in and watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe.
Does this make sense?
Yes.
It's almost too simple, I guess, in my head, and yet it's completely true. So I looked it up this morning, like the 80-20 principle. And if you recall, I think this is mentioned in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It's like, 20% of your time will produce 80% of your revenue. And so the same applies to everything. So like weight loss. There's a weight loss strategy out there that says 80% of the time eat healthy, and 20% of the time, if you don't, you're still going to be overall, you're going to lose weight. Same applies to your schedule, to work, etc. So the thing I want to do here as a group is we're going to take 10 minutes of silent time, and you're literally going to write down, we're going to do the thing that they just asked us to do. We're going to write down the top 10 goals that we have for today or for the week. So top 10 goals for the week. And then we're going to go through and just by yourself, you're going to star or highlight or whatever the top 2 that would provide the most impact for you. So you can do this in different ways. You can do this from a family perspective. You could do it from a real estate work perspective. You could do it from a health perspective. For this practice, let's do it from a work real estate perspective. So what are your top 10 goals for this week? And then you're going to star or highlight the top 2 things that will provide the most impact. And the beauty of this is that likely we're not all going to have the same answers, but it'll provide a little light on maybe how we can better run our time management. So we will reconvene here at 1:30. Giddy up. Just take 2 more minutes here, and if you are busting through this, maybe do one for your personal life. I just knocked one out in a couple minutes. All right, guys. Just a sidebar, Chelsea and Katie. Katie emailed the link to that 2 o'clock training, and then Chelsea put it in the chat. So thank you, ladies. Um, so in regards to this practice we just did, this exercise, I think that it's really important to better understand ourselves, and that we are only human, and that we typically misplace our priorities. And being good at real estate is just like being good at anything else. It requires the correct priorities and putting them in the right order so that we can focus on the things that are going to provide us the most results. So what I think would be really cool is to just kind of go across the board here and just say one or two things that you learned in slowing down and thinking about like how you prioritize. And I can start, and then I'll just holler at y'all. And if you really, really don't want to go, then just say pass if you really, really don't want to. But I think it'd be really beneficial to hear from others. So for me, the first two things that I wrote down were lead generate / hold appointments, like from the lead generating. And then number two was recruit. So, a large portion of my job, being that I'm a productivity coach, is to recruit new agents. The rest of the stuff, like, was the secondary stuff in my mind that was important. I have an advantage here in that I've seen this video before, and I've started thinking about it. So that's why I wrote those two things down. But when I started to rank the things that came underneath it, like I rated everything 1 through 10. My top one was definitely lead generate, because lead generation will allow me to ultimately conduct more events or to have more clients to follow up with. It's kind of that one big nugget that leads to all the other nuggets. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then so that took me about 5 minutes. And then I jumped over to like my personal life and like, what are some goals that I have for my typical week in my personal life? So things like laundry, or sleep well, or eat well, landscape the yard, golf, etc. The things that I realized made the most impact on my life. So one of them was have energy for the kids. Another one was be home every evening for the kids. But the thing that I realized was the biggest nugget that was going to impact my ability to have energy and to be there and to think with them was to sleep really well. And so if, like for me personally, and this is different for everyone because some of you don't need much sleep, but if I can get 8 hours in a night, I know that that's going to fuel everything else that happens successfully in my world. Things like laundry, although that's important in the grand scheme of things, like it's not obviously nearly as important as having energy and spending time with your family. So hopefully some good learnings for you guys too. And I'll open it up. Lisa, you're first on my screen.
Mine was kind of similar to yours in lead generation has to be number one, like we all know it. But I struggle with doing the fun things first, the things that I think that I can do. And I know that's my personality. It has been my personality my entire life. I was always in trouble in school because I wanted to walk around and talk to everybody before I did my work when I was younger. So that is something that I consciously have to say, no, that is not going to get you where you need to be. So and we talked a little bit about this earlier, but realizing that I have to time block everything, even if it is doing laundry or grocery shopping, it just has to be done. To keep those things compartmentalized so that I do the things that feed my business.
I love that. So, and you don't have to answer this, but rhetorically in your head, like, what are some corrective actions we can make today from this little exercise that we just did? Like, so in Lisa's example, maybe it's to set aside 10 minutes on Sunday evening just to focus on creating a calendar for herself and time blocking those important things that she's clearly delineated are important. So now that we've got it on paper, it should make it really easy to drag and drop it onto your calendar, where they said in the video to swallow the biggest frog first. Like, instead of going around chit chat and doing the fun stuff, like do the hardest thing first. The rest of the day is easy. So for some of us, lead generation. So you plug that in first and then everything else comes in after it. So just rhetorically, like let's take action from this, what we're learning here today. Thanks for sharing, Lisa. Chelsea, you're next on my screen.
Hello. So one of my big ones is also echoing lead generation, but within that, finishing up my Facebook reach out that Josh has mentioned a couple of times. I started like a month ago and I'm almost done. And Josh has also said before, some conversations have just been great conversations of, catching up, and other conversations have led to a real estate conversation. So I'm going to finish that up, which I'm considering. I'm pulling that into lead generation. My other big one, I said, was rebranding my Facebook page. I've had a lot more traction on my Facebook page lately, and I think that's a direct reflection from this reach out, is what I'm calling it, this Facebook reach out, and with a networking group that I've been talking with. I feel like my name's kind of getting around there a little bit through those. But I don't love what my Facebook page looks like, and it doesn't really have a system. I've thought of different systems, but haven't ever been happy with any of them. So nailing down a branded Facebook page for myself is a big one for me right now.
Nice. TikTok's all the rage these days, I hear. I'm just joking with you. Good stuff. And everybody's going to have different things. So like, I know you just moved, so maybe on like your personal one, like finishing the move would be up there, whereas somebody else is going to have some different things. So there's the cool thing is that these are all like snowflakes. They're all unique and individual to you. So Melody, were you the one playing smooth jazz in the background?
Oh yeah, can you hear that?
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, you're good.
Just kind of keeps my head in the game. Well, the first thing I know is I have too many priorities. So when I was writing this down between business and personal, I pretty quickly came up with 19. Well, obviously I can't do 19. So some are connected, but even still, I know that that's a challenge for me. Partially because this isn't my only job. And so that also, creates too many priorities. So I have connect with people as my first one. I mean, obviously that's lead gen, but I guess really connecting with people. And I think I need more face-to-face time with people. However, I make that happen. Because I found myself after COVID, I got so used to working in my home office so much that I feel like I spend too much time in my home office. So I can still call people, but there's a lot of people that I've connected with in the past that was talking about real estate, but I need to get in front of them as well. So that was my number one. And my second one was, work with buyers. And I've had a lot more opportunities for open houses lately. So I think that's going to become, I don't want to say it's easier, but more doable than it has been the last 3 months.
You said something I think we probably can all identify with. You said you started listing things out and you came up with 19 things that are important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have 19 things to focus on, how many are going to get done?
0.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's an old mantra. If you have one thing to focus on, so back in retail days, if I gave a person one note for the day, they're going to get it done. Like
Yeah.
that's their one thing to focus on. They've got blinders on it. If you give a person 2 things to do in a day, odds are they'll probably get everything done. But when you hit 3 or more, they're going to dabble in this, dabble in that, to the point where you're not going to get anything 100% done.
Yeah.
And so the point of this practice, I think, really goes back to that principle, is that if you focus on your top 2 things each day, or your top 1 thing, that's why Gary Keller wrote a book, or whoever wrote that book, one big thing. The one thing, like there's some validity there. And so if we can really zero in, so you said getting in front of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Connecting with people. So that could be in front of them, that could be on the phone or whatever, but I really miss being able to be actually in front of people, and I haven't done that. So yeah, the 19, I was just letting it just flow out, like anything and everything I could think of. But it's really hard to pick the top 2.
Yeah, I think when you think about what's going to create the biggest ripple in the pond, like what's going to be one thing that carries over to some of these other things and makes those things easier. When you take that approach, it might be a little simpler, but thanks for sharing that you came up with that many. Miss Katie?
Hello. Yeah, so the couple things that I kind of took away, one was make sure this is just personal importance, making sure that I'm prioritizing I don't have kids, but my family over work. Just because I've been noticing recently, I found myself if all I'm on Zillow right now. So if I get a Zillow call, I'll kind of take the call, and then I think that whatever I talked with them about, I could be watching a movie or hanging out or at dinner with friends, but I'll think that whatever I just talked with that person about needs to be done right now. If I told them I need to set up a search, I need to do that right now. And so becoming better about oh, I can set up that search for you tomorrow when I have some free time. And just making sure that I'm prioritizing my family and friends and personal life versus work as well. Cause I'm finding I'm just one of those people that's as soon as I need to have it done, it needs to be done. And then the other thing that I kind of put was just what kind of sparked the idea was I wanted to have great communication with all my clients this week. And just making sure everything was clearly communicated, but kind of a sub thing of that would be just making sure that everything I'm doing in regards to real estate, in regards to personal life, this week is all done with excellence, because excellence is inviting. And I just think that people will come, will be more likely to recommend me or come to work with me or whatever if I do everything that I do, no matter how small, with excellence. So, yep.
There's another good point. I'm glad y'all are participating in this because I'm learning something from y'all, and it's so to Katie's point, I get a chance to work with Katie, and she does do things with excellence, and she just got a huge compliment from another big agent with Keller Williams at a different brokerage. We just closed the deal, and the other agent was raving about her communication skills. So, you know, you're doing things really well. So thank you. But that goes for us all. Like, do everything like nobody's looking. And what I mean by that is like, it's kind of like integrity, but having integrity with yourself. Like if I do everything and I know that I've put my all into it, I should be pretty satisfied. And that goes for all of us. Mr. Horsepower.
So thing that I started with, and it's way I've tried to keep myself organized is I always start with the day planning management. It's always plan your work and work your plan. If I don't start with a good plan, I won't be able to execute my day. Like everybody said, lead generation is always important. I'm following up with what I had going on from the day before. But for me, one of the big ones is going to be with social media, with doing it with plan and focus, not just, I've got to have, people should expect like when I'm going to post, for my business side, if it's like you said, if it's a Wednesday that they know I'm going to have, maybe it's a market thing or something about horsepower farms. But I have to be a little more structured when I'm doing that. One of the biggest things for me is for me to be good for my business and for myself is in the morning, I got to meditate and exercise. And then one of the biggest ones that we're pushing for in my family is dinner with the family, no electronics. Our phones are plugged in, they're turned off. We turn off the TV and we connect. So.
I love it. Thank you. Janae, are you iPhone? Who's iPhone?
Kathy.
Oh, hey, Kathy.
Hey.
Go ahead.
Okay. The first thing, like everybody, put pretty much zoning in and taking that time to do lead generation. And if that's getting out, getting on the phone, but setting that time aside has been hard with doing another job and then also kids home now from school. So just trying to figure out what the priorities are, but I know I need to do that because this is going to give me more money than the other jobs too. And I guess it's my biggest thing is I had a lot of stuff to write down too, but it's when you're trying to work both jobs and everybody needs stuff right now, then this big stuff gets put to the side, which, if they need the answers today on certain things with my other job, I put this aside. So I don't know if that's coming physically into the office for that time every day, like setting that time aside so that I can focus in on it, because then there's all this other stuff like getting the social media, getting it's all the administrative stuff that goes along with this with just starting out. So pretty much same thing as everybody else, but just a lot of stuff and then you're not getting as much done.
Yeah, but you're on the track to realizing it, right? So you're on the right path to correcting it, because when you put a spotlight on it, that's when you can change it. So for my biggest aha came year one when I've told this story, when I got a couple in contract at the same time, and I was so new that I didn't know any better, and I just spent all my time focusing on those people that were in contract already. Like the business was already signed, sealed, and delivered basically, and yet I forgot to do the other thing, which is lead generate. And so 2 months later, I had nothing in my pipeline because I had let it all go. So I learned from that and started time blocking and saying, nothing's going to get in my way from 9 to 11. If I need to turn my phone off or turn off the distractions, then I'll do so, because I know that the business will wait. That administrative stuff for me we'll wait until noon. Like no one's going to raise a hissy fit over waiting a couple hours for an answer. And we are all, I think, bred similarly to think that if somebody requests something, they want it right now, kind of like Katie was saying. Whereas we really need to realize that most people are going to understand if it takes an hour or two to respond to them. As long as you're focusing on whatever that one big rock is, whatever you rated number one, like that's how we should prioritize things. And I know it's difficult, especially when we're dual career, and especially as you're young in your real estate career to learn these things. But you're gonna learn and grow as you keep evolving. So thanks for sharing, Kathy. And I think we can all agree with you. Mr. J. Lex.
What's going on, Josh? What's going on?
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I got
Are you there, bub? I think you're frozen. Can anyone else hear Jason?
can you hear me?
Yes.
So I didn't get some new door hangers ordered. I don't have any new ones from Keller Williams. I only have HDR ones. So I actually just threw those away. But make a Facebook post, drop some more likes on possible clients. Try my new quirky idea, put that in use. Be more open to speaking to people that I'm not familiar with. Check on my current clients. My current client that will close in the fall, and get with Josh about the Mojo dial.
Cool. So now you're I see you're in your car. So now your project is to whittle that down and say, what's the one or two most important things that are going to provide the biggest impact?
I'll probably say get with you about the Mojo dialer to help draw up my leads. And I don't know. There's a couple of different things I want to do as far as my new idea and get my door hangers ordered. So that'll probably be my top three.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll look forward to you reaching out about the Mojo dialer, and I'll try and coordinate a time with you.
Okay.
Mr. Michael.
Hi. So for my two more important ones, I had lead generation, just like everyone else. And then also I'd taken continuing education classes because pretty sure they do at the end of the month for me. And that's been weighing on me for a while. So I think it'd be good to knock it out. Everything else work related on my checklist was towards my other job. But for my personal life, I have to reach out to a friend who just got in town, and I have to figure out a time for an event and organize a room in my house.
Cool. So you did a lot of listing there. Yeah, I'm glad that a lot of us are saying lead generation because we obviously get it. That's the one big thing. And yet I challenge us all because I saw the results on your Google Forms and some of them aren't amazing. So it kind of goes back to, okay, now we're putting a spotlight on it. Now what do we do about it? So I'm glad you're all notating it, and look forward to next week when hopefully we put a spotlight on it and done something about it. Thank you, Michael. And lastly, but not leastly, Miss Nicole.
Hello, everyone. So I had lead gen and setting appointments for my 1 and 2, and then number 9 was to have fun with this. And I think it needs to go back. That needs to be a number 1 for me right now, because I can worry things to death. I can write a contract and sit for 24 hours and do nothing but, did I do this? Did I write this? I've checked it 117 times. I will think about all the things that I need to do in the week, and my anxiety rises. And we've had a nice long conversation with my husband about it this weekend. And I thought, this job's going to kill me if I don't figure out how to not make it. I mean, this isn't brain surgery, but I I worry, I stress about everything, and I've got to let that go. So that is my number one right now. And then obviously lead gen and everything else that everybody said. But me personally, I've got to have some fun with this shit or I can't do it.
I love
And
it.
there's that. Aren't you glad you asked?
I love that you rated it initially as your number 9 thing. Is that what you said?
It was 9.
Man, at the end of the day,
Now
we
it's
got
back.
to enjoy this, right? So I'm so glad you said that because we come at it like it's a job and it's work and we got to do this and we're going to stress about it until we're successful. Well, we're always going to be in that boat. We're always going to want more. But if you don't enjoy it at the end of the day, it's all for naught and you're going to live a miserable life.
Yes. So
good job. Thank you so much for sharing and being vulnerable and everyone opening up. You did a great job with this and hopefully it was fruitful for you and hopefully you'll take some actions. That's the best of the best out there. When they know that there's an imbalance, they try and balance it quickly. So let's work on that, guys. We are going to bow out 5-6 minutes early, give you some time back. And if you're interested in learning more about listings with your sphere, then please get on this next call at 2. I will see y'all there and I'll see you later. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.